Collins,
Present.
Campbell,
Present.
Blackwell,
Present.
Brian Dockery will not be here tonight. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Mayor.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Blackwell, second by Collins to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Nay. Ayes have it.
Just for the government students out there tonight, I want to thank you guys for coming. Tonight's probably going to be fairly lengthy. We're just going to try and get you guys out of here by 10:45, 11 if possible. But thank you guys for coming tonight.
Number 4, public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the council on anything that is on or not on the agenda this evening? If so, go ahead and come up to the microphone and state your name.
Could you flip that on, Craig? Just push it up.
Anyway, I'd like to address the council on something I started in Shirley Board, which I fumbled on the T-bills, which you guys are aware of. I'd like to get the council to keep that moving. There's a lot of money to be made, to be added to the funds, which you guys are spending, more and more each day. So just wanted to acknowledge the council, and that I fumbled on the play, but anyway, you guys can keep it going. That'd be great to make more money for the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. Is there anyone else in the crowd who'd like to address the council? Okay.
This is when the crowd talk. If you're not on the agenda, this is where you have public comment where you can talk to us. Otherwise, you're not really able to talk to us.
State your name, please.
No. Hi, Frank. Neil Ketcher. I thought this was going to be at the end of the meeting, but I will pass these out. Hi, Adrian. How are you, sir?
Good neighbor, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
Please don't step on the cords. Frank, how are you, sir?
How are you?
I'm doing well. We have one extra. I'm polling at 3 minutes, but I'm in Tennessee. I talk slow, so I'll take 3.5. All right, Mayor King, council members, thank you for the time this evening. I'm Neil Ketron. I live at 302 Pinehurst. I purchased my home in December 2008, and in no time did Mel Foster, agent, inform me of a possible HOA, and no time the previous owner did not indicate this as well. Nothing was ever said that a possible HOA was in the abstract that I did not receive until the day of closing and after the purchase of the house. Presently, the lot in question, I believe, is owned by the developer Mel Foster or some entity of their corporation. The Iowa Secretary of State has, in August 2019, dissolved the Townsend Farm Regional Detention Facility Maintenance / Dan Schneckloff due to failure to deliver the 2019 biennial report as required by Iowa Code. In September 2021, dissolved the Townsend Farm Development LC / Robert C. Fitt due to failure to deliver the 2021 biennial report as required by Iowa Code. I believe the Townsend Farm entities failed to maintain their legal responsibilities for the lot in question and their parent company owners as well. It would assume a prudent corporation owner would comply with the required laws and regulations to maintain the rights to manage or direct an HOA if warranted. I believe their length of time has expired to create the HOA, and the property is the responsibility of Mel Foster or a parent company or some unknown entity underneath Mel Foster. The owners of the Pinehurst lots do not wish to form an HOA, and it's not our legal responsibility to do so due to the time to form an HOA has elapsed, and the owners of Townsend Farm First Edition are not obligated or legally bound to form an HOA for the detention lot or any other reason. For city guidance, guidelines passed out on 28 October 2024, meeting by the Assistant City Administrator. Paragraph 9, responsibilities, quotes, the developer shall be responsible for providing a plan of ownership of detention facilities involving a single owner, an association, or another plan or of ownership approved by the city. So what do we have? We have the current owners or the city. Since the detention lot maintenance is in question, I have recommendations to solve the matter of ownership. Mel Foster or Townsend Farms. Mel Foster or Townsend Farms previous owners maintain the lot in question as their responsibility. If the above does not wish to do this, release, donate the lot to the city of Eldridge at no fee. If the city of Eldridge accepts this, they will own, control several detention lots, anywhere from 2 to 5, and the cost of the detention facility can be absorbed by all homeowners, as are the other city-owned detention lots. Currently, the detention lot series serves Pinehurst, Fifth Street, Oak Streets, and believe other detention lots feed into the Pinehurst detention lot. Further recommend the city formally control and ownership of all detention lots and levy adequate taxes on all Eldridge homeowners across the board. Water goes where God wants it, glory goes where we direct it. This should be a shared responsibility between all residents, not just 28 homeowners paying for the upkeep and the legal liability of a lot they have no useful control over to do as they wish. The fourth recommendation would be let the lot eventually go to the county for unpaid taxes, city decision, or other means. I do not believe this is what's in the best interest of the city or Mel Foster / Townsend Farms dissolve. Thank you. I know you make the right decision in this matter. Neil Kettering.
Thank you, Neil. Is there anyone else in the crowd tonight like to speak at this time? Randy, the guy behind you. State your name, sir.
Evening. My name is Ben Beagle. I live at 301 Pinehurst in Eldridge, which is, I believe, legally described as Lot 20, Townsend Farm First Edition. Neil is my neighbor, so just that little connection there. I want to express my thanks to Jeff Martins for writing up the memorandum with regards to this issue, Townsend Farm Developers and Townsend Farm First Edition, and just the stormwater detention facilities throughout the city. I think it's a pretty thorough rundown of the issues. Candidly, I think the whole, the way the Townsend Farm stormwater drainage system is set up is a little bit of a cluster, perhaps. I won't finish the rest of that sentence, but it's a little bit piecemeal. There's several different things going on that I can see, but from just looking at the plans, looking at everything, it seems to me that most of that drainage eventually does flow into that large detention ponds down south of the 8th edition. The city of Eldridge already owns that. I think the city owns a couple more detention lots. And as you note in your memorandum, in 2004, the city resolved to at least look at establishing a stormwater utility for the city to manage these detention ponds. I think Eldridge was maybe a little bit smaller than it is now back in 2004, but as the town grows into a city, I think we're gonna, I think the stormwater utility is probably the best idea going forward. As Neil mentioned, shared responsibility, I think, is probably the name of the game at this point, as opposed to piecemealing all the maintenance responsibilities of these detention outlots to various and sundry homeowners associations. Let's pool them all. I for one have no problem paying my fair share to make sure that the city doesn't flood when it rains, and I think the city, the city or the people that the city hires are probably going to have a little more expertise in managing and maintaining those outlots than we would. So I think my recommendation, my hope would be that the city does look at establishing a stormwater utility to so that everybody in Eldridge can kind of pitch in and share with these expenses. and hopefully prevent these kind of problems from occurring in the future. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Randy?
So I came to 2 meetings ago and talked about Sheridan Meadows and back to kind of do that same thing. Hopefully the city would consider improving the pond at Sheridan Meadows. You know, they were able to mow it since it got so dry, and it looks so much better now, but throughout the year it looks awful. And that is one of the ins to the city, and it just looks terrible to have all the weeds and growing up, and you know, the amount of traffic with the ball diamond. And I really think that one of the things that improving that pond and making it fishable, and you're gonna have wildlife, ducks, geese, the fish, it could be a real asset for the city. Something that I really hope that the city would consider, and also just to be a good neighbor, because when it does flood, it floods into Ball Bears and across the street in Dale, DeCook's ground also. So maybe that's something, you know, very easily we can fix. And I don't believe that it's a ton of money. There was some grant money that I had found and gave that to Nevada. So anyway, I really hope that the city would consider that again.
Thank you, Randy. And I do agree with your statement there. It looks a whole lot better being all mowed down.
I know this is public comment, but last time you spoke, Randy, you was going to forward your information to city and then give that to us so others can see. Have you done that yet?
I have not. I actually, I apologize. So I have a second job that I do, and I just took that job, and I've been kind of busy with getting that under wraps. So as soon as I'm really done with that, I'll make that happen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to address the council this evening? Go ahead and state your name.
Terry Jurisic, back on with the Pinehurst. We currently live at 316 Pinehurst Drive. Prior to that, we lived on Oak Street, 505 Oak Street. And back in the I'd say early 90s or so, when we had a lot of water problems, our basement used to flood on a regular basis practically. And every time it rained, the city would have to come down and put a big pump in the storm sewer right on the corner of 5th Street and Oak Street, in order to keep those houses on that Oak Street from flooding, because it was so bad. One lady sat on her toilet and it lifted her right off the toilet because water was coming up through it. So they started putting a pump in there all the time. Every time it would rain, they put a pump in until they put that retention pond in. And they used to drain it out. That was all cornfield back then. Until they put that in there, we had a problem with water there. But now that that's in there, you know, that's why we don't feel like we should have to pay to maintain that, is because it also supports the people on Oak Street and 5th Street, and I'm not sure how far up it goes, but everybody benefited from when they put that retention pond in there. And it should be something that is shared, not just for the people that live on Pinehurst, because there's a lot more people that use that or get benefit from it anyway. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? All right, we'll close public comment now. Number 5A, consideration to approve the city council minutes from the October 21st, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Yost, to approve the minutes from the October 21st, 2024 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. 5B, consideration to approve the bills payable. Does anybody have any questions from Nevada? The dump truck's on there, but that was already approved.
That's right.
If there's no other questions, do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second?
Motion by Blackwell, second by Collins, to approve the bills payable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it. Number 6, old business. 6A, consideration of the third and final reading of ordinance 2024-13, amending Title C, Chapter 2, Section 8.04 of the Eldridge City Code for residential and commercial industrial sewer rental unit billing. Jeff, has there been any comment?
No, Mayor, we've received 0 comments on this ordinance.
Thank you. Do you hear a motion to approve the third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Yossi, second by Campbell to approve the third and final reading of ordinance 2024-13. Roll call.
Blackwell,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Yossi,
Aye.
Ordinance 2024-13 passes. 6B, consideration the second reading of ordinance 2024-14, amending Chapter 8, Title C of the Eldridge City Code by adopting new building codes. Jeff, has anybody called in for this, or Ray?
Good evening. We've had no comments and there's been no changes to what's been presented.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ray since he's here?
If there's no further questions, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Second.
Thank you, Ray. Motion by Blackwell, second by Yossi, to approve the second reading of ordinance 2024-14 for adopting new city building codes. Roll call.
Collins,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Blackwell,
Aye.
Yossi,
Aye. The second reading of ordinance 2024-14 passes. Thank you. On to number 7, 7A. Review the policies related to the responsibility for and maintaining detention ponds throughout the city. Jeff, you talked to me about this. Can I call on you for that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As Mr. Beagle said, I did prepare a pretty extensive memo after researching this after the homeowner Mount Foster meeting that took place last week. Thank you for reading my memo, Mr. Beagle. I appreciate it. The first 4 pages of this, you'll see, presents most of the information that I found. The other 30-some pages is supporting documents that were pulled from, city files that support the information that was presented. Obviously, this is an issue that we're not going to solve here this evening. We're going to have another meeting, maybe a couple other meetings to look at this and decide a direction. I'm happy to answer questions, as I know it. The information I'm presenting here in this memo just deals with 4 out of 13 residential detention ponds that I found. Out of the 13 residential ponds that we've got, one of them's on Dale's property that's not completed yet. 2 of them are in Ivy Acres that aren't completed yet. So out of all the rest of them in areas that are completed, only 2 of those have actually been successfully turned over to homeowners that aren't being maintained by homeowners associations at this point. So there's some things that probably need to be discussed, and city staff's going to need some direction from council on where you'd like us to go with that. And from there, once we've been provided with some direction, we're happy to put together a plan that's going to get us there. But if anybody has any specific questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. I'm not guaranteeing I will be able to answer them because, we've got 40 pages of information here and I don't have it all memorized, but I'll do my best.
Come on, Jeff. Seriously?
I've got most of it memorized.
Your Honor. So we had a little bit of conversation today, and I guess with the information I have, and I know that this is not an Eldridge issue only, this is something that's probably not even just statewide, but I would be frustrated if I was in the position of all the homeowners that just got that information in Townsend. But I also look at developments as they add these retention ponds, it's an extension of the city. So to tax that cost on specific neighborhoods, I also would say that I don't think that's fair. If it's a homeowners association like Stonebrook as an example, that detention pond is only maintained by houses that are landlocked, I think that's one thing, but detention ponds within the city, as the city keeps growing, I think is all a shared responsibility, or should be. because it does benefit everybody. I think you made a good point. You know, what it was 25 years ago is going to be different than what it is 25 years from now. So why should 50 or 100 homeowners pay a price that another 50 or 100 don't have to when they're all receiving the same benefits? So I think while I'm not happy that we get put in these circumstances, and I know what ultimately the worst case is, and that gets turned over to county at tax sale, we don't want that. We need to find out how do we build from this, how do we go forward and make it better and make it something that Eldridge adopts with current developers so that we don't keep running into problems like this.
I would agree, Ryan, and I also want to commend Jeff. You spent like 3 or 4 days on this last week, and you spent an hour and a half with me trying to explain it to me, and I'm still not sure I understand the whole thing. But, and I also commend the residents for coming and talking to that. A couple of you called me at home, and I appreciated the conversation, but I'm kind of like you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I think that there's a bigger iceberg below all this in regards to all the detention ponds we have, and we need to take a close look at it. And I see no way how we can make these folks form an HOA, especially when we took ownership of retention pond way back in, what, 2006 or 9, whatever that was, and we were supposed to charge a stormwater fee. We did not. So I think that on one hand, we dropped the ball. I think Mel Foster definitely dropped the ball. So I think there's a little bit of blame to go around, but I don't think we need to have these residents take on that extra cost. And I would also be in favor of looking at the stormwater fee for the entire city, for all residents, because they would benefit from some of this, as outlined in Jeff's memo.
Thank you, Scott. As both Jeff and Scott mentioned, there was a resolution for a possible fee to maintain these that was created by an ordinance back in October of 2004. That was way before anybody on this council, mayor, administrator, assistant administrator, city clerk, were even part of the city. As they have said, I don't feel it's fair to any of you as well, because it's beneficial to the whole city. Some of those ponds take care of water problems from older neighborhoods, as you mentioned. So there's quite a bit of stuff here that Jeff gave us on Friday. I went through it once, but I'd like to go over it several more times. I think this is something that we'll have to bring back around, get input from the council, and put this on another council meeting in the very near future.